The Vegas Golden Knights are on a lucky streak, 7 straight wins. Chris Gawlik of Locked On VGK is here to talk about the reasons for the team's success and all things Vegas Golden Knights next on the Locked On NHL Podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Locked On NHL Podcast. Gil Martin, so glad you could join us today, and thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. The Vegas Golden Knights have won 7 straight games. Chris Gawlik of Locked On VGK is here to talk about all things Vegas Golden Knights. And Chris, tell me, what is the secret to this team's success so far this season?
I think the secret is there honestly hasn't been much of a secret. Listen, 11-2, a 7-game winning streak. I don't care what your expectations are. That's certainly something that doesn't happen often, nor does it happen every year for every team in the NHL. But you look at the talent that the team has. You start with our second line, our misfit line. They've been there as the first line, a big part of a Stanley Cup run. Now you add pieces like Eichel and Stone, and Stevenson is maturing right in front of our eyes. And our bottom 6 defensemen, or excuse me, our 6 defensemen, not bottom 6, but our 6 defensemen, that's a pretty good defensive core that we've had the same, lineup of year over year. So they're just going to get a little bit better. The asterisk, the concerning points, the wild card, if we're going to use those puns, I guess, was the goaltending. And through 13 games, the goaltending has done more than what's been asked of them to help VGK win games.
Yeah, I mean, Logan, Thompson, and Adin Hill right now have to be the most successful goaltending duo that most hockey fans haven't expected from and haven't heard of in a lot of ways.
No doubt. LT did a great job getting the Golden Knights into playoff contention last year. I believe he was 15-4, solid goals against, solid save percentage, and he basically carried the team on his shoulders for the last, third or so of the season to give us a shot. And Adin Hill, that was a very interesting pickup because no one was sure what was happening with Brossoit at the time and if he was going to wind up coming back or not. And Adin Hill had a very poor preseason, and we were concerned, right? We were wondering how that was going to shake out, but Adin Hill has done a wonderful job in not just a complimentary role. It's more than a complimentary role. It seems like it's basically a 3-2 type split right now. Every 3 games LT goes, Adin Hill is going to go 2 games. Kind of that type of every 10 games it goes 6-4. There you go.
There you go. It's interesting because this team has done so well up and down the lineup right now. So many people playing just very strong hockey. Talk to me about Shay Theodore. Quietly, he seems to be doing extremely well for this team.
Shay Theodore has been doing a lot of things well since joining the VGK, obviously, in season number 1. He had a little bit of a rough spell, I feel. I believe it was the bubble playoff season where just taking some unnecessary chances and things like that. And really, since that happened, things have really gone the other way now. He's aggressive at the right times, but he's also maturing as a quality defenseman. That's tough to play against. He leads the rush. Cassidy wants the defenseman more involved, and Theodore is the type of player that he scores in bundles. He scores in bunches. He may go quiet for a while, then all of a sudden he'll go 3 or 4 games in a row scoring not just goals, but big goals, big overtime goals. We saw that just recently against Washington. There you go. Sorry, it's been a long week. It's been a long week, but scored a big OT goal against Washington and just does the right things. And he's just another part of another ingredient, if you will, of what's working right now.
Yeah, talk to me about Jack Eichel. Having him healthy, how important is that to this team?
So the one thing that VGK lacked since season number 1 was that one player who could take control of the game and own the game. William Karlsson was slightly that player in season 1 with his 43, for however many goals he scored. It was over 40 goals. He was kind of that player, but he was scoring more timely goals, positioning, not necessarily just going end to end. Or, I mean, Eichel is his thing, right? It's especially when he gets some space behind the net, out to the blue line, back behind the net, and then just casually skates through everybody and does what he does. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to see Eichel not just doing it by himself, but now he has some line mates, that are of solid quality, not that what he ever had in Buffalo. Not knocking Buffalo, just simply stating facts. What he has around him in Vegas is only making him better, and also making Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson, his line mates, much better too.
How important is Alex Pietrangelo to the power play right now?
He's important, just period, end of story. His experience that he brings quietly. He was 9 assists, I believe, before yesterday's game. I know he had at least one because I may have had some financial interest in him getting an assist last night. So he might be up to 10 now. It's Vegas. It's what we do, folks. It's how we live in this city. But you look at everything that he does, not just on the power play, but his ability to be a killer, his ability to move and rush the puck in 5-on-5, and the power play as a whole. The power play and special teams, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually a big area of opportunity right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. So Tony and I on Locked On Vegas Golden Knights Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, we did hit on the special teams. As of that show, VGK was approximately bottom third of the league in power play and PK. I haven't looked at the numbers recently. We're still getting what seems to be better opportunities and good momentum off the power play, but just in general as a whole, our special teams can improve still. Needs to improve.
But you are doing a good job of staying out of the penalty box, which helps the penalty kill without question, just because you're not giving up as many attempts.
And that's a tribute maybe to Cassidy and the players not getting them in dangerous spots. Cassidy's system, the biggest thing that we hear about is muddying up the neutral zone as far as those deep passes go. Now, you look at that game against Montreal last night, that turned into a Saturday night, that turned into a bit of a track meet, and I think they kind of got away from the system a little bit. But in general, VGK has done a great job at keeping pucks going, not allowing pucks to basically shoot across from the other team's defensive zone, just those long breakout passes where the opposition gets a full head of steam coming through the neutral zone.
Give me an unsung hero, a player that hockey fans who don't follow VGK carefully may not know about, but who is really helping this team by playing his role on this roster.
Zach Whitecloud. Zach Whitecloud. Zach Whitecloud last season, things were not going well, but he was a plus 21. And it was that matter of fact, I think, and pardon me if I'm misspeaking here, but I'm pretty sure it was the Montreal coach that actually said the pairing of Whitecloud and Nick Hague is the toughest, best, if you will, bottom 6 defensive unit out there. And Zach Whitecloud, he has the ability to rush the puck and create opportunities to score, but he's also a great stay-at-home defenseman. He's what you need out of that bottom 6, who's going to, especially when you're on the road, right? You're going to be against the matchup battle. The home team's got the last change. They're going to be sending out line 1 and line 2 against your third defensive unit whenever they can. And someone like Whitecloud is really doing a good job taking care of home. His stats aren't as good comparative year over year, but it's still pretty decent.
All right, Chris, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yep, I'm at TD Chris G, like Touchdown Chris G, and Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. Anywhere you can get your podcast, and anywhere you find them. Our Twitter, our YouTube, Locked On VGK as well.
All right, Chris, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Have a good day.
If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked On NHL listeners can order the #1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. Here's why I love it. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. SimpliSafe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors to detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Don't miss our chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/LockedOnNHL. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/LockedOnNHL. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.